As dawn breaks, a dense gray mist clings to the coastline, shrouding the world in a veil of uncertainty. Shapes move silently through the fog, long, slender ships with curved prows, their hulls gliding almost ghost-like over the water. The air is thick, heavy with moisture, and the only sounds are the rhythmic strokes of oars and the distant cries of seabirds hidden somewhere in the gloom. This is the arrival in the mist, a moment charged with anticipation and mystery. For those on the shore, the first sign may be the muffled thud of a boat grounding on the wet sand, or the sudden silhouette of a towering figure emerging from the haze. For those aboard, every sense is heightened. The mist muffles their voices and cloaks their movements, making every footstep feel secretive and significant. Throughout history, the arrival of strangers in the mist has marked dramatic turning points. Consider the legendary Viking landings on the coasts of Britain and Ireland. Norsemen often used the cover of fog to conceal their approach, their dragon-headed longships appearing out of nowhere with frightening speed. For the villagers, the mist was both a literal and metaphorical veil, hiding the intentions of the newcomers. Were they traders, explorers, or raiders? The uncertainty bred both fear and fascination. The mist not only hides but also distorts. Sounds seem to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Shapes loom larger or disappear entirely. It's easy to imagine how tales of ghosts and spirits grew out of such moments. In literature and film, misty arrivals continue to captivate us. Whether it's the eerie landing of soldiers on the beaches of Normandy, the ghostly figures in classic novels like Dracula, or the unsettling first steps onto an alien planet in science fiction epics. But beyond the drama, the arrival in the mist is also a story of human curiosity and courage. Explorers stepping ashore in a new land, their hearts racing with the thrill of discovery and uncertainty.
Every detail matters. The wetness of the sand beneath their boots, the chill that seeps through their clothing, and the scent of salt and earth mixing in the air. They strain to make out features on the shore, trees, rocks, the faint outline of dwellings, each one a clue to what lies ahead. In many cultures, mist is considered a boundary between worlds, the known and the unknown, the safe and the dangerous. The moment of arrival is when that boundary is crossed, and whether it's a band of settlers, a fleet of invaders, or a group of scientists landing in a strange landscape, the experience is profoundly transformative. The mist lifts, and with it, a new chapter begins. The world will never be quite the same. Imagine the world at night, when darkness drapes itself across familiar streets and buildings, transform into looming silhouettes. In this realm of long shadows and whispered secrets, every footstep echoes with a heightened sense of awareness. The cover of darkness has always fascinated and unsettled us, an age-old stage for stories of mystery, danger, and discovery. But what truly happens when we walk among the shadows? Let's start with the science. Human vision is naturally adapted for daylight, relying primarily on cone cells in our eyes. But as darkness falls, it's our rod cells that take over, allowing us to detect movement and shapes, but in shades of gray rather than color. This shift in perception doesn't just make the world look different, it changes the way we feel and behave. Shadows seem deeper, and ordinary sounds become more pronounced. That's because at night, our brains are on higher alert, a survival mechanism inherited from our ancestors, who needed to be wary of predators lurking in the dark. Throughout history, the night has been both a shield and a shroud. Criminals have long favored the cover of darkness, using it to mask their movements and avoid detection.
In ancient cities, curfews were imposed to keep citizens safe, and watchmen patrolled the streets with lanterns, their footsteps a warning to anyone hiding in the shadows. Even today, law enforcement agencies know that certain crimes, like burglaries and vandalism, spike after sunset. But it's not all fear and suspicion. The night also offers anonymity and freedom. Consider the phenomenon of urban explorers. These intrepid individuals venture into abandoned factories, forgotten subway tunnels, and crumbling theaters, often under the cover of darkness. Their footsteps among shadows are acts of curiosity rather than crime, driven by a desire to uncover the hidden stories of a city. Armed with flashlights and cameras, they document their nocturnal adventures, revealing a secret world that most people never see. Artists and writers have likewise drawn inspiration from the interplay of light and dark. In film noir, shadowy alleyways and dimly lit rooms serve as metaphors for moral ambiguity and hidden truths. Classic scenes from movies like The Third Man or Double Indemnity use deep shadows to evoke suspense and tension. The very language of mystery, phrases like working in the shadows or shadowy figures, reflects our deep psychological association between darkness and the unknown. There's also a social dimension to footsteps among shadows. For some, nighttime brings liberation. In cities around the world, night markets awake after sunset, and people stroll through illuminated streets, their shadows mingling in pools of neon light. For others, especially those without stable housing, the night becomes a time for caution, when the search for safety and shelter takes on new urgency. Ultimately, walking among shadows is more than just a physical act. It's a journey through history, psychology, and culture. Each footstep is shaped by our senses, our fears, and our desires. The shadows may conceal, but they also invite us to look closer, to listen more carefully, and to discover what lies just beyond the reach of light. Let's turn our attention now to one of the most chilling and pivotal pieces of evidence in the entire investigation, the bloodstained diary. This battered, leather-bound journal is more than just a collection of pages. It's a window into the mind of its owner, and perhaps into the very heart of the mystery itself. The diary was discovered on the third day of the investigation, tucked away beneath the loose floorboards in the victim's bedroom. What immediately captured the attention of detectives was the smattering of dark, dried stains along the diary's edge. Forensic analysis would later confirm what everyone suspected. The stains were indeed human blood, matching the victim's own. The presence of blood suggested a violent struggle or a desperate attempt to hide the diary in the midst of chaos. But what made this diary truly significant wasn't just the evidence on its cover, it was what lay inside. Page after page, the diary chronicled the final weeks of the victim's life, each entry growing more frantic and fragmented as the days progressed. Early entries spoke of everyday worries, work deadlines, family disputes, fleeting moments of happiness. But as we move forward through the pages, a darker tone emerges. On March 14th, the victim describes feeling watched. Shadows in the hallway again tonight. Maybe it's just my imagination. By March 20th, the entries become even more foreboding. He called again. Won't leave me alone. I don't know who to trust anymore. One of the most haunting passages is dated just 2 days before the murder. The handwriting is jagged and rushed, the ink smudged as though written with a trembling hand. If anything happens to me, look for the red box. The truth is inside. This cryptic message sent chills through the investigative team and immediately shifted the focus of the case.
Detectives scoured the house for any sign of a red box, eventually uncovering it hidden behind loose bricks in the fireplace. Inside, they found a collection of old photographs, a stack of threatening letters, and a mysterious key. Clues that would later prove critical in piecing together the victim's final days. But the diary wasn't just a record of fear. It also revealed vital details about the victim's relationships. Several entries mentioned a falling out with a close friend, while others alluded to a secret the victim felt compelled to keep, no matter the cost. These revelations provided investigators with valuable leads, pointing toward both motive and potential suspects. In the end, the blood-stained diary served as both a cry for help and a roadmap for the investigation. Its pages captured the rising sense of dread that consumed the victim in the days leading up to the crime, and its carefully guarded secrets helped unravel the tangled web at the center of the case. The diary stands as a stark reminder of the power of personal testimony, even from beyond the grave. Shadows aren't just the absence of light. They're storytellers, silent witnesses to the world around us. Every time the sun rises or a street lamp flickers on, shadows stretch, shrink, and dance,
revealing secrets that might otherwise go unnoticed. But what exactly do these shifting silhouettes tell us? Let's step into the dim spaces where shadows whisper their secrets. First, consider how shadows reveal the time of day. Ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and Babylonians used sundials to track time. As the sun traveled across the sky, the shadow cast by the sundial's gnomon moved in a predictable arc. By observing the length and position of the shadow, people could tell the hour, long before clocks existed. Even today, if you pay attention to your own shadow, you'll notice it's longest at dawn and dusk, and shortest at noon when the sun is directly overhead.
But shadows don't just tell time. They reveal the shape and texture of the world. Imagine walking through a forest at sunset. The low-angle light creates elongated, dramatic shadows that stretch across the ground, highlighting the rugged bark of trees and the delicate lacework of leaves. Even a simple object, like a crumpled piece of paper, casts a complex shadow that hints at its three-dimensional form. Artists and photographers use this interplay of light and shadow, known as chiaroscuro, to add depth and emotion to their work. By studying the way shadows fall, they can make flat images feel alive and dynamic. Shadows also act as silent detectives, helping us infer what's out of sight. Think about a closed door with a thin strip of light at the bottom. The movement of shadows across that strip can tell you if someone is approaching, even before you hear their footsteps. Wildlife biologists use a similar trick. By analyzing animal shadows in camera trap footage, they can identify species or estimate size, even when the animal itself is just a blur. In extreme environments, shadows can mean the difference between life and death. In deserts, animals like lizards and snakes seek out the cool relief of shade to avoid the scorching sun. On snowy mountain slopes, climbers watch for subtle changes in shadow to spot hidden crevasses, dangerous gaps that could be invisible in flat light, but become obvious when a low sun casts long, revealing shadows. Even in the built environment, shadows play a crucial role. Architects design buildings with an eye on how shadows will move throughout the day, creating comfortable, shaded spaces in hot climates or maximizing light in colder ones. Urban planners use computer-generated shadow studies to predict how new skyscrapers will impact city streets, making sure that parks and public spaces don't spend entire days cloaked in darkness.
So, next time you see your shadow flicker on the sidewalk or stretch along a wall, remember, it's not just a simple shape. It's a whispering guide, revealing secrets about space, time, and the hidden patterns of life all around us. As dawn breaks, the fog thickens, curling around the landscape like a living thing, masking, distorting, and concealing. Yet, within its silvery shroud, moments of clarity begin to emerge. For centuries, fog has been both a literal and metaphorical veil, hiding truths just out of reach. But sometimes, it's within this very mist that the most startling revelations are made. Picture the early morning at San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. The iconic red towers vanish into the pale gray, traffic muffled, the bay below hidden. Now imagine a scientist, inspired by this scene, asking, why does fog form here, and what secrets does it hold? That question led to the discovery of the unique meteorological dance between the cold Pacific currents and California's warm inland air, a revelation that not only explained the city's famous fog, but also illuminated patterns of oceanic and atmospheric interaction worldwide. But fog's revelations aren't limited to weather. In 1942, during World War II, a dense fog settled over the English Channel. Allied forces, preparing for a critical operation, found their vision obscured. Yet what seemed a setback became a strategic advantage. Hidden by the mist, ships navigated unseen, and a surprise attack was launched. In that moment, the fog's concealment birthed a revelation. Sometimes what hides can also protect, offering new perspectives on risk, safety, and opportunity. Nature, too, uses fog for revelation and survival. Take the redwood forests of California. These ancient giants rely on summer fog for moisture, with their needles capturing droplets, channeling water to their roots.
Scientists only recently uncovered just how much of the forest's ecosystem depends on this fog drip, an invisible yet vital lifeline revealed through careful observation and measurement. The revelation underscores the delicate interplay between climate and life, changing how conservationists approach forest management. In literature and art, fog is more than atmosphere. It's a symbol of uncertainty, transformation, and revelation. In Charles Dickens' Bleak House, London's perpetual fog mirrors the confusion and corruption of the city, only to lift as truths come to light. Artists like J.M.W. Turner used foggy landscapes to evoke emotion and to suggest that clarity often follows confusion. Even in the realm of technology, fog has sparked breakthroughs. The invention of the foghorn in the 19th century revolutionized maritime safety. Mariners, previously at the mercy of unseen hazards, could now navigate treacherous coasts, guided by the mournful call of the horn, an audible revelation piercing the mist. Each of these moments, whether born of nature, history, or human ingenuity, reminds us that the fog, literal or figurative, isn't just an obstacle. It's a space where mysteries linger, and where, with patience and curiosity, revelations await. In the fog, what's hidden doesn't remain so forever. Sometimes the very act of searching through uncertainty leads to the most profound and unexpected discoveries. But just when we think we've reached the end of the tale, the truth is, the whisper never ends. Even as we turn the last page or walk away from the scene, something lingers, a question, a suspicion, a thread that refuses to unravel completely. Let's think about this. Whispers, by their very nature, are never meant for everyone to hear. They slip through cracks, bounce off walls, and echo in the spaces between words. Sometimes the most powerful secrets are the ones we never fully hear, only sense. That's what draws us back, again and again, to the mystery.
The story doesn't simply stop because the clock runs out or the credits roll. Instead, it morphs, deepens, and continues, sometimes in ways we never expect. Consider the legendary case of the Dyatlov Pass incident. In 1959, 9 Russian hikers perished under mysterious circumstances in the Ural Mountains. Decades of investigation, speculation, and conspiracy theories have flowed since then. Every time a new clue appears, a torn tent, strange injuries, missing tongues, it only adds to the chorus of whispers. The more we learn, the more questions we have. The story refuses to settle. It haunts the edges of our understanding. Or take the cryptic final message from the Zodiac Killer. Even after half a century, amateur sleuths and professional codebreakers alike still pore over the ciphers, hoping for a breakthrough. Each theory, each deciphered fragment becomes a new whisper in the ongoing conversation, a puzzle piece that never quite fits perfectly. The case remains officially unsolved, and the whispers continue. But it's not just in true crime or unsolved mysteries that the whisper endures. In science, too, we see this phenomenon. For example, the WOW signal, a brief, unexplained radio signal detected by astronomers in 1977, has never been fully explained. Was it a message from extraterrestrial life? A cosmic anomaly? The data tantalizes us, always just out of reach, refusing to give up its secret. So why do these whispers matter? Because they invite us to participate. The unfinished story twirls us in, makes us part of the mystery. We speculate, we theorize, we share our own whispers with others. The conversation grows. The line between observer and participant blurs. And that's why, even now, as we discuss these enigmas, the whisper persists. Somewhere, someone is finding a clue we missed, or spotting a pattern we overlooked.
The story waits for the next listener, the next dreamer, the next curious mind willing to lean in and ask, what if? So, as the lights fade and the last words hang in the air, remember, the whisper never ends. It's always there, inviting you to listen just a little closer.